by making Cavill this guy again. Hello and welcome to another episode of With Enough Prep Time. I'm your host, the Nerd Man, and today we'll be talking about Zack Snyder and his recent comments on his experience filming the reshoots of the Justice League. Look, I want to get this right out of the way before I even start anything. I don't understand. I don't want to keep going on about Zack Snyder. I really don't. And in fact, for the most part, I think he's a really talented guy. I think he did a really great job with Zack Snyder's Justice League. Some things I certainly wouldn't have done, but for the most part, I really enjoyed the movie, and I believe it's one of the best comic book movies to date. I'll say it like straight out. But this recent interview came to my attention, and it shows me everything that the entitlement aspect of Zack Snyder, which is just fascinating to me. It really is. It's fascinating to me because this guy was in such a good position. We'll talk about like why I'm upset a little bit with Zack Snyder about this, and the reason I'm upset is mostly because it's harmed his own ability to ever work with Warner Brothers again. I really think so. So I'm not going to keep on doing Zack Snyder videos where I'm hating on the guy, because I think, for the most part, he's a nice guy, and for the most part, I think his films are underrated and are unduly criticized for things that I don't necessarily agree with. I have my own personal critiques of his movies, but they're from me. They're not something I read online or anything like that. They're from my own viewing, what I saw. What up, Fenya? How's it going, bro? From what I saw watching his movies, I don't need to gain my opinions of him from from some critic or something like that. But let's hear what he had to say. So Justice League director Snyder says Warner Bros. Still tortured him while he finished the Snyder Cut. All right. So just to give some context to this, he knows this is going to fuel his Snyder Bros, his fan base, right? So saying something like "they tortured me" is going to fuel his fan base to continue attacking Warner Brothers, which they've been consistently doing with the Ray Fisher thing, with Zack Snyder stuff, with all of the Zack Snyder's Justice League. So Zack Snyder says, "I don't want to get in trouble either, but I'm not going to sit here and let them act like that and not look. They're the ones that have been aggressive, not me. Really? Your fan base hasn't been aggressive to Warner Brothers, Zack Snyder. It hasn't been sending, death threats and going on to, stop Asian hate and being like, hashtag restore the Snyderverse, going on to every single film, bothering other directors like James Gunn. And getting into Twitter wars and arguments or Instagram wars with people like James Gunn saying, arguing why Warner Brothers fucked you over. So it's not about you personally being aggressive. It's that you're fueling your fan base to be aggressive towards them. You need to say, every time you mention this stuff, every time this stupidness comes out of your lips, every time you think that you need to voice these opinions, right? About how badly a studio who paid you millions of dollars to make superhero movies treated you, right? You need to temper that and ensure and say, but to my fan base, please do not bother people like Toby Emmerich, people like Walter Hamada, people like Jeff Johns. Don't attack them. That's what you should be saying to ensure that your toxic fan base doesn't use this kind of language to go after Warner Brothers? Doesn't it galvanize them to attack in a hostile manner Warner Brothers? Right? Because if you aren't saying that, then all you're doing is you're setting a mob who believe Ray Fisher no matter what he says, even though for the most part he's been proven to have been wrong. Right? And it doesn't even take that much intelligence, that much critical thinking to realize that somebody like Ray Fisher was wrong. But every time you say stupid shit like this, these people go after Warner Brothers. And please don't take me as some kind of Warner Brothers lover. I think Warner Brothers are making stupid mistakes with the DCEU. They're making mistakes that is essentially where they're robbing us of enjoyment as DCEU fans or DC fans, while also actually, basically money that they could be getting, money that could be on the table for them. They're rejecting that money, and it's ridiculous, right? And their shareholders should be like going, "What the fuck is going on? Get your house in order." But so I'm not a Warner Brothers lover. I'm not like somebody who worships at the altar of corporations. And this fit shit. Trust me, I don't even care about this stuff. I'm just telling you this stuff because I'm on YouTube and I talk about this stuff on YouTube. This doesn't trigger me what Zack Snyder's saying. The only thing that upsets me about it is, when you say stuff like this, you wonder why Warner Brothers doesn't want to work with you. Are you serious? Because there's a lot of people, there's no proof of it, but that suspect you set Ray Fisher on Warner Brothers. And I thought that even before the Vanity Fair article came out, and they said that. The Warner Brothers said that. So Warner Brothers obviously thought it as well. So instead of you to be disconnecting yourself from the language that gets Warner Brothers always, routinely, aggressively attacked by your fans, that gets even YouTubers who have an opinion on this attacked by your fans, right? Instead of you doing that and making sure that you distance yourself from that toxicity, you fuel them with these kind of statements. So let's go on to the rest of this. I haven't done anything. Every day they turn around and do some weird passive aggressive thing. So I don't know, it's weird, but look, like I say, I had a great time making Justice League. I'm super glad I got to finish it. All right, so when you say you haven't done anything, they gave you $70 million to finish this film. They gave you that. You instead of you to just finish the graphics of the film, just finish the CGI and put it out there, you added like another, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes to the movie. Right? You cost them money. They have every right. If you give somebody think about this, anybody who wants to be critical of me here, if you gave someone $70 million, wouldn't you be watching over them? That film cost about 300, up to 400, maybe up to $500 million when you think about marketing. And then you go back to his other films, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel. Now, people can say all day, I think they're profitable, right? Those movies were profitable, barely profitable, right? And or underperformed. So Man of Steel was barely profitable. BVS underperformed, right? And those films, I'll put it this way. Look, I think Zack Snyder's Justice League, if released in cinemas in a 3-hour cut, because you could have taken an hour out of that, and it still would have made sense, in a 3 hours, 15 minutes cut, whatever you want to call it. If they had released that in cinemas, if they had the balls to do it, I think it would have made over $1 billion. I still think critics would have roasted it. I still think it would have got like maybe 50% on Rotten Tomatoes by critics, because without his daughter and all of the drama that led to the Justice League being released, I think the critic scores would have been pretty low. But I do think that his movies were on an upward trajectory. You look at Man of Steel, made about 600 and nearly $700 million. Look at BVS, that made about nearly 900 million. Right, he had a huge fan base by then. Right, by the time Justice League came out in cinemas, if people had have been given what they were expecting from the Man of Steel and BVS, I think that movie would have would have got to the $1 billion mark. It probably wouldn't have done this kind of numbers that something like Avengers does, but I think it would have slowly crawled its way over that $1 billion mark by the end of its run. And he would have gained an even huger fan base from that movie. I mean, and also he had the benefit of hindsight to be able to take out things that he wanted to, like jokes that didn't work, and cut scenes that didn't work. So who knows what the original film would have actually looked like? So Zack Snyder had many years to think about how to make this the best possible Justice League film he could, and it still was massively flawed with that epilogue and certain things in the film. Again, I love the film, don't get me wrong, but he had a lot of time to refine it and make it as good as it was. Who knows what kind of lame, corny jokes and stuff like that the Flash would have originally said in his theatrical release. Who knows if he would have cut like major scenes like that were really good, like Barry Allen saving Iris West, so that he could put in that 20-minute shitty epilogue at the end with Batman talking shit to Joker. Who knows what kind of ridiculous decisions he would have made that would have hurt that movie. But all in all, I still think it would have made $1 billion. Now, the reason I say he would have made shitty decisions is you just have to look at BVS. BVS, for instance, if you cut out that scene where the nightmare scene, right, in the middle of the movie, you could have put in a bunch of scenes that would have made sense of the actual narrative of Batman v Superman. Right? So I don't know how Zack Snyder would have cut that movie together. So let me say that again so that you understand. BVS, the theatrical release, if you ever go back and watch it, I know people haven't watched it for a long time now, he left all of the nightmare scenes in that film to set up his Justice League film, right? But they were completely unnecessary to the story. And what he cut out instead was actual story beats, like of something like Lex Luthor's plan, which was actually necessary to the story. That hurt the film. He could have got a 2.5-hour Batman v Superman that would have made complete sense if he had have cut out that nightmare scene in the middle of the movie, or cut it down by a lot. But he didn't. So the film didn't make any sense. All right. So again, with the benefit of hindsight and 4 hours, you can do a lot. And I love the movie, so I'm not going to be too hard. But when he says, I have done nothing wrong, your movies underperformed for Warner Brothers. They underperformed, man. Don't you understand that? So first weekend, Batman v Superman makes 400 million. First weekend, Man of Steel makes more money than Aquaman, which went on to make $1 billion. So in the first opening weekend of Man of Steel, once again, hear me out now. Man of Steel made more money in its first weekend than Joker and Aquaman. But Joker and Aquaman went on to make $1 billion. Why is that? Because of good word of mouth. Man of Steel didn't have that good word of mouth. Otherwise, it should have made $1 billion. Same with BVS. Made $400-something million in the first weekend. Well on its way to making $1 billion. Didn't get there. Why didn't it get there? Because of bad word of mouth. 400 million. I think Batman v Superman, if you look at the whole of the DCEU, had the biggest opening weekend, including the Joker, right, had the biggest opening weekend of any of the movies in the DCEU, and yet it didn't make as much money. It underperformed. The Snyder cult, or sorry, Snyder Bros. Pardon me. I promised myself I won't use that word again. But the Snyder Bros are delusional. Didn't perform well. Didn't have legs. Yes, it made profit, but it didn't. It should 400 million opening weekend. A movie like that should make $1 billion unless people don't like it. Okay. Now again, I think Justice League would have fared better. I even like BVS, but to turn around and say a company that gave you 70 million after you failed in 2 movies, and then in the third movie, that they got you to do, yeah, they fucked you over and did all this thing, but in the end, they did right by you. They came around and said, look, hey, guy, there's a pandemic going on. We need content. People like your movie. Can we, or want to see your movie? Can we give you? Can we get a deal together? We want to give you 20 million to finish the movie for the VFX. You said no. You need 70 million. They gave it to you, and now you're complaining about it. The sense of entitlement is ridiculous. They shouldn't have given you a fucking penny, really. And if they wanted to, they could have just released your movie just like that. It's their property. They could have done that. Make no mistake about it. When Zack Snyder goes, oh, I said, no, you can't release my footage, blah, blah, blah. Warner Brothers owned that footage. They could have released it. They had a copy of it. They could have released it if they wanted to. All right. So let's finish the rest of this. Look, they're the ones. Okay, so I haven't done anything. Every day they turn around and do something passive. Okay, I'm super glad. It was cool to do the Snyder Cut of Justice League, and that was fun and everything. But Warner Brothers still tortured me the whole time for whatever reason. They can't help it. I don't know why I'm such a freaking pain in their ass, because I'm not trying to be, honestly. This is why you're a pain in their ass. Exactly, precisely what you said is why you're a pain in their ass. I can't believe what I'm hearing it. Guys who give you 70 million to do it. This isn't like art school. This isn't like some small project. This is $1 billion industry. They are trying to make money. What do you expect them to do? They're trying to torture you? How? By giving you money to finish some artistic endeavor? I wish somebody would give me 300 million to do some artistic endeavor of my own. I'd be fucking over the moon. And yeah, I'd let them fucking look over me and make sure that I'm doing things the way they want it to be done. I would compromise because it's their money. They tortured you for whatever reason. I haven't done anything. I'm so innocent. Woe is me. You've just set a Twitter mob against them. And again, I don't care about all of this stuff. If you think I'm triggered or like emotional, I'm just being like this because I know this is a video and, this is, I have to be kind of overly dramatic on my videos, right? But I don't actually care about this at all. But this is setting a Twitter mob, and it's just crazy to me what you think you're doing here. Why you think you're not fueling gangs of Snyder Bros to go over to Warner Brothers and use all of this to fuel them in their Ray Fisher. They're following Ray Fisher. They're how would you say, these zealots to the cause, following Ray Fisher, no matter what evidence is presented before them that really he's making a mountain over a molehill. Did some bad things happen to him? Yes. See how Gal Gadot handled it? Basically, this idiot said something to her. She just was like, chill, yeah, go to Warner Brothers, sort it out, and then made her money. Now she's a big star. Ray Fisher isn't. Making a mountain out of a molehill. That's what it's called. It's no one's saying nothing happened to Ray Fisher. We're saying what happened to Ray Fisher and the whole big scheme of things when you're making millions of dollars, when you're in a high pressure industry, making these big movies that you hope are making $1 billion, the fact of what happened to him wasn't that big a deal, wasn't that bad. And he could have got much more revenge on Josh Whedon and everyone else if he had have become a big star rather than shooting off his mouth before he had the clout to be able to do that. And where are you in terms of supporting your bro here? Why wasn't he in Army of the Dead, by the way? I'll leave that aside. But because this is about Zack Snyder right now. Zack Snyder, you've just made it impossible for you to ever work with Warner Brothers again. They're going to read this, and no one's going to want to work with you at Warner Brothers ever again. And I don't blame them. Before I did blame them, I said, hey, look, what fans do in your name, that's not Zack Snyder's fault, right? What fans do in his name, it's not his fault. The fact is, the next Justice League 2, which I want to see, I hope you've changed your plans with it, but I would actually like to see the continuation of this. But the next Justice League 2, right, you can't make that movie for them now. It is impossible for you to make. They will not let you do it. Not when you talk with this language. It's bullshit, man. You've weaponized things. I suppose you're feeling a little bit vindictive today. You're feeling a little bit big because your Army of the Dead came out and it was very successful, and you're feeling almighty, all powerful. This has just fucked your chances of working with Warner Brothers and actually continuing on with the DCU. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe you don't want to, but I certainly wanted you to, and you fucking done this and ruined it. They're not going to work with you. You'd have to I don't know. They're going to have to completely reorder all of the management of Warner Brothers before they ever work with you after this statement. So that's me. I'll look at some of the comments now. Guys, if you want to make a comment, here's your time to make the comment, because otherwise I'm going to leave. What's up, Nerdman? Is that it? Nobody else wants to say anything? Okay. So I'm going to give you 1 minute to say anything. If you want to say anything, guys, let me know. But apart from that, that's my basic rant on this. Hot Takes, what's up? Yeah, man. What's going on, Tony? Anything you wanted to ask me quickly about like this particular situation, let me know, man. What a ridiculous statement by this guy. Such entitlement. Honestly, I can't believe he said this. I really can't. He's just fucked himself completely. Totally agree with Hot Takes. Okay, yeah, thanks, man. Again, like, what was he thinking saying this? What did he think it was going to achieve? He just got Army of the Dead out. It's just doing successfully. He could have utilized this if he had a shut his big mouth. And this makes me think he was behind Ray Fisher, because this is exactly the kind of stupid shit Ray Fisher would do. So if he had have closed his lips, let the movie, The Army of the Dead, and its success speak for him, he would have been in a position to renegotiate with Warner Brothers. They would have had to, because their shareholders would tell them, God damn, get this guy back. Dude, you're gonna have to watch the video. I'm not gonna go over it again, unfortunately, but you can watch the video, and it says everything that he said. Go back to the beginning, and I've read it out. But he just said something so stupid that's completely fucked him. I love Zack Snyder as a director, but he's digging himself into a hole. You can't make a JL sequel when you're bashing the company that will finance your film. He actually went out and said they tortured him. They tortured him. I mean, what is he thinking? You're talking about the execs, and then the most important thing about this is he's sending Twitter mobs against them. He's harming their brand. It's like telling people, hey, don't go and support Suicide Squad. Don't support HBO Max. don't support, the DCEU because I'm not in it. That's what that statement is saying. He's creating more hostility. What he should be saying is, dude, I support all these new directors. I want to see their films. I love this. I love their take on these characters. I'd love to work with them one day. Stay positive. That's what you should do, not criticize at this point. I'm going to take on one more question, but Snyder's getting praise at Netflix. That's good. Maybe he'll do Spider-Verse stuff. Love to see him do Ghost Rider. I think this may have harmed his chances to even work in many of these big franchises anymore. He'll have to get a lot more success than Army of the Dead to even work, or Army of the Dead will have to make serious bank for him to, essentially work for any company. They look at what he said. It's crazy. He said that these guys were torturing him. It's absolutely insane. All right, one more. If you've got anybody who's got one more, unless you do, I'm gonna go. All right, yikes. You might be right about that. We'll see. I hope not, but it's a bad look. Anyway, thanks guys. Thanks so much for all your comments. Please do me a favor, give me a high five, smash that like button. Do press subscribe for more content, and of course, make some. If you put anything you say in the comments, I will hopefully respond as much as I can. But I'm not that stressed about this. I don't care, in the end of the day. I just want to see Justice League 2 and 3, and I want to see him as part of this universe. But in the end, maybe I just have to accept it's not going to happen. But thanks again so much for all of your engagement, even over the past few streams. Do remember we've got another hot take for Hot Takes Tuesday on Tuesday. So it will, I'll have to announce the time. Follow me on Twitter so that I can announce the time for you there. But apart from that, guys, you know what I'm going to say right now. I'm going to see you on the flip side, and I love you 3000. Peace.